Bear with me. The lighting in here is terrible. That's because it's about to rain. But that doesn't stop you from being transformed. That doesn't stop you from understanding every single thing I said. You're listening to me, not watching me. You're listening to a fucking voice, not watching my face. If you struggle with confidence, if your confidence is on and off, if it's temporary, you feel very inspired in your room, you feel powerful in your room, just about to approach that lady, it suddenly vanishes. Or you're in a business meeting, you've rehearsed every single thing you would say. It gets to your turn, all of a sudden, anxiety descends upon you like anointing. If it's you are just diagnosed, then this is the video for you. Listen very carefully because the information I'm about to relay is premium. That's why you guys don't appreciate it because you are so low. You've not developed enough capacity to distinguish free information from premium. This is why I'm against individuals buying courses, especially at the infancy of their career, because you're not developed enough to differentiate premium from free. Yes, are the courses they sell to you valuable? Of course they are. You would learn something cerebral from those courses. But the point I'm trying to highlight is we live in an age of democratized information. 90% of anything you want can be gotten for free on the internet. At the infancy of your career, you're trying to squeeze as much juices from your dollar as possible. So you want to make the most optimal decision with your lean pulse. So the solution, especially at the infancy of your career, is not enriching these gurus, filling their coffers, helping them attract more victims through their luxurious lifestyle. So that's the first thing. This is something I've thought about. Why do people buy courses? And I came to this conclusion that when you hold that debit card up, imputing digits, you feel inspired in the moment, you feel excited, your brain releases dopamines equivalent to the ones signaling you're making progress. So you don't just enjoy buying course necessarily for the information you're about to consume. You enjoy buying courses because of how it makes you feel. That's like a milestone achieved. It's progress. It indicates you're making or you're taking action towards your destiny. Well, that's far from this point. Today's discourse is going to talk about confidence and how to get confidence or how to become confident. Confidence is a subject that very few people understand. I've seen all the bullshit on the internet. I've seen the various tips and tricks on how to become confident. But anything worthy of admiration was built with time. So this idea that you would get confidence. In fact, let me not go ahead of myself. This idea that would happen all of a sudden is a fallacy. The first thing you have to understand about confidence is it's not externally generated, it's internally. Externally generated confidence are the cheap ones. Those are the kind you derive from a new car, a new house, a new watch. But when the novelty of that product wears off, you revert. That's why people are in the endless loop of chasing things. They are not chasing things necessarily because of the utility derived from that product. They chase things because it's an incessant pursuit. It's impossible for you to have every single thing on earth, especially for the average individuals, because it takes money. You guessed it right. And what are the chances that the average individual's salary will get him a yacht or super hot blondie? It's impossible. So that's why they take this route, because it's an endless pursuit. The chances of them arriving at that destination, it's in the single digits. So the journey is what they enjoy. The journey down to hedonism, the thing that keeps them active. Because we as humans, if you've listened to me on a long enough time frame, I expound. We as humans are purpose-driven beings. We cannot operate without an aim on a long enough time frame. In fact, you see this in your daily life. If you're in an office, someone walks by, walks by, walks by. About an hour and a half, you notice, you sit down and pause. He repeats the same attitude. What would come to your mind? Exactly. Is he lost? Because that sight, in and of itself, is an anomaly. It's not something to behold. Extrapolate this concept into your own life. You quickly discover that majority of you will gravitate towards heinous concepts, heinous community like LGBTQ, the some rubbish terrorist group, in order to derive a sense of purpose, a sense of waking up. But that's not the discourse of tonight. I don't know why I keep digressing. But the point I want to highlight is that confidence is internally generated. External confidence wears off very quickly. The kind of confidence I advocate is not putting on leather jackets, lifting weights, and acting like you're a tough guy. That's also a form of external confidence. Another way you've tried to get confidence is by manifesting it. My friend, sitting down, chanting affirmations will get you confidence for a while before you become depressed, compounding your misery further. Because anyone who chases a high knows that eventually it turns to a low. So you are in this incessant loop of sitting down, manifesting. That activity is in the similitude of the rat analogy with cocaine. You're always gravitating towards that analogy, to that activity. But truly, if you were that person, would you need that activity? Exactly. So majority of you sit down and try to chant affirmations in order to become confident. It rarely works. Which then begs the question, how do you become confident? It's a very interesting subject. And the only way you can become confident is by doing things. As cynical as it sounds, please understand me. I know some of you are about to shut off and get tired, but the only way you can become confident is by doing things. When was the last time, as an average individual, you stood before a door and you were terrified to twist the knob? Exactly, because you know the knob, once you twist it, the door opens up to you, correct? So the only way you can become confident is by engaging in those activities, by doing shit that makes you believe you can. Now, it might sound counterintuitive. Do you need to do things because before you believe you can? No, that's not what I'm advocating for. What I'm saying, the knowledge of your previous trappings, the knowledge of your previous conquests is what propels you to future success. This idea that you've done XYZ before propels you even further. to bigger goals. That's how it is. So confidence is derived by doing shit. Sitting on your ass like a kitten will get you nowhere because action leads to outcome. And you and I know where sitting down leads to. The sluggard would not plow as a reason of harvest. Therefore, he will beg, says the Bible. If you sit down all day, gravitating towards an activity like it's cocaine, in fact, that is counterintuitive to manifestation. Because, for instance, if you were the desired person, if you had the desired outcome, what are the chances when you've gotten that new car, new yacht, you will provide time to sit down and think about the new car? Engaging in that activity alone reinforces the lack. I knew a little bit about manifestation. Operating in lack is not a consciousness you want to embody. We'll keep it short, we'll keep it succinct. I have a very busy schedule ahead of me. So majority who are pleading to bring back the 20 minutes videos, 30 minutes videos, that's not something you would see in this season. But I promise, as soon as I'm done with what I'm working on, I'll try and extend the content. Is that clear? As always, my friends, pleasure speaking to you. See you in the next one.